Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another video of Co-Creating Your Reality, where we teach how to attract that which you deserve and desire through alignment with spiritual, natural laws of the universe, also called as walking the path of following the yamas and the niyamas, also through practicing gratitude, because you in order to attract the things that you deserve and desire, you must be grateful. Be grateful when you have nothing, just as much as you will be grateful if you were to have everything that you have ever desired in your life. Practice gratitude along with doing the right thing, taking moral right action that is aligning with the natural spiritual laws of the universe to generate the life, the freedom, the love, and to align with that which is true in objective morality, and not that which you want to be true or that which you believe to be true, that which one knows to be true, right? Which you can do through a multitude of ways. You can know certain things via your own intuition, intuitive knowing, or you can know things through research, through actual reading and sifting through information and knowledge that is already existing in the world, that has existed from time immemorial, right? So this is a space where we teach men and women how to be moral human beings, boys and girls, teaching boys and girls in adult bodies how to change their behavior to attract that which they want and that which they desire, that which they deserve, through taking moral action, right? It is also where we have started to expose the dark occult world, a big part of which is the government system, and more so a huge arm, the protective arm of the state or the government, also called the police service, which is inextricably bound up with the dark occult world, right? So we expose the mentally deficient, socially inept, emotionally imbalanced, spiritually dead, morally lacking police service, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but throughout the globe, which is responsible for 90% of the world's problems, because they inflict violence on people when people just leave them alone and don't even harass them, right? So, welcome to Trinidad and Tobago, where I could be enjoying eating leg and thigh from the spiciest KFC in the entire world, but I have adjusted my taste buds in the name of God, in the name of truth, in the name of morality, in the name of being an actual moral human being. I have adjusted my taste buds, and now I am eating oats instead, where I could be eating barbecue if I wanted to, but it is the wrong thing to do. I could be eating leg and thigh from KFC, but it is the wrong thing to do, right? I am also dressed in my exercise wear, where I have woken up early this morning to practice my yoga, when I could be, if I wanted to, sleeping in late, or I could be doing some other activity which does not bring benefit to myself nor to the wider society. But I woke up through change behavior, changing my own ways, changing my own lazy habits in the morning, from just lying down on my bed to waking up and actually doing some kind of physical activity on a morning, and then making oats, which I am not a fan of, but is not always what we like, is not always what we like to eat, is not always about what being a good human being, a truly good human being, has nothing to do, and being a productive human being, it has nothing to do with that which we necessarily like. is that which one makes us healthy in an all-around way and makes us moral human beings, right? So today's discussion is a continuation of yesterday's discussion. Yesterday I would have talked about my second incident with the police service within the year, last year being the first incident where about 9 of them, about 8 males and a female officer, like completely raided the home, my home here, turn over everything, ruffle up my panties and my drawer, right? We all know that policemen are panty men anyhow, right? So they came and they did the most, right? My car, everything, right? And searching for arms and ammunitions. Now, the other day, the day before yesterday, I experienced the same bullshit whilst out in a public space, and I did the same with my friend and I, who were sitting chilling in a vehicle, and they came under the disguise of wanting to keep us safe and protected because it has murders all over the place. But their attitude, their demeanor, their personality, their intimidation tactics completely and definitely did not suggest that they wanted to keep us safe and protected. It suggested that they wanted to bully, like they usually do, right? Like they usually do. They wanted to demonstrate their power, false power. They wanted to intimidate via force, right? Via being verbally violent, right? That was the whole point of that exercise, right? They wanted to intimidate via threatening to arrest for no reason at all. So today's topic is the role of the police officer is based on false authority. The role of the police officer is based on false authority, right? So what is false authority? Basically, false authority is human authority. False authority is human authority. Now, we all know that we need some kind of check or some rules. We need to keep each other in check, whatever. We need to, we need as a society some kind of rules to abide by in order to maintain a peaceful society and so on. But the rules that this society has put into place to maintain that is actually causing more harm than good, right? The arms of the protective services, however, the police service, who are supposed to be keeping us in check, basically, are actually, the role they are playing is basically inverted, and they are actually causing the chaos. They are causing violence, right? When you're supposed to be protecting others from violence, protecting others, keeping them safe, right? You are actually inflicting violence. You are creating chaos, right? So we live in a very inverted, sad reality right now, right? And through my observation and in-depth analysis of this police situation, because I've been observing their behavior from that day when they broke in with the police raid, right? Now, I was a little shaken up that day, I wouldn't lie, when it happened, but I still stood my ground. Regardless of how shaken up I am in an incident like that, I will stand my ground. And I've been observing their behavior since that day. And 1 year later, which was the other day, and the same thing happened in another environment, in another space. I was observing their behavior again, right? And through really watching how these people operate, and this could be considered as in sociology, we would call it a longitudinal study, and it is also a cross-sectional study, right? A longitudinal study means a study that takes place over a lengthy period of time, right? So you observe the behavior of the same set of people, police officers, from last year and compare to their behavior this year, right? See if anything changed. Longitudinal study. It was also a cross-sectional study, right? A cross-sectional study meaning that a study that cuts across different types of people, right? So there were different genders involved. There was a female in the first police raid, but most of them were males, but it don't matter, right? So there was a female, there were different ethnicities. This time it was 3 Indian fellas, but the first time it had a mix of people, right? So it was Afro, Indo, whatever, right? So cross-sectional study from analyzing behavior from different socio-demographic, different demographics, right? And seeing how they operate. Now, a lot of times in Trinidad, when things happen and police catch somebody, police hold somebody or whatnot, people like to say police are racist and whatever, and they blame, because in Trinidad we like to blame everything on race, right? Everything is a racist issue in Trinidad. So if somebody get a ticket, they will say, oh well, if the man was an Indian man, he would say like the police officer racist. If the man was an African man, the police and an Indian get charged, the victim would say that, oh well, the police officer playing the race card, whatever. But through my analysis, where there was a wide cross section, different genders, different ethnicities in this police exercise, I can safely say that the police service, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of gender, regardless of sexual orientation, or because we know half all is freaking bullaman out there, right? But regardless of sexual orientation, gender, whatever, all of you are morally deficient, lacking in true character, lacking in spirituality, lacking in morality, emotionally imbalanced, do not know how to speak to people, and deserve a taste of your own damn medicine, right? And that is why sometimes there are people in this world who turn out to be bullies so that they can effectively bully the people who bully and everybody else, right? That's why there are some people who people would criticize and whatever for speaking how they speak, right? And teaching how they teach. But I will not do that, because sometimes we need to turn into the bullies to bully the people who bullying everybody else, right? Shit. So regardless of what type of police officer you are in terms of demographics, you are equally stupid, right? You are equally immoral, right? False authority is exercising human authority for the purpose of abuse, which is what 3/4 of you police officers that's being out there, and the quarter that is actually considered the good police officers, they need to be good in order to protect the bad ones, right? In order to protect the image of the bad ones, right? So it's the same system regardless. Ultimately all government is immoral and is slavery, right? Or ultimately all government is slavery, but the police force in particular is a special kind of immoral, right? The police service is a special type of immoral, and not only a special type of immoral. Through my experience and observation and through my inner knowing, the police service is a special kind of dunce as well, right? That's why sometimes you all don't know how to spell. So if you charge somebody on one street in Port of Spain, you gotta carry them on the next street in order to charge them on that street, because you know how to spell the name of that street better than the first street, right? So not only immoral but unintelligent and dunce. And this is not to make fun or ridicule anybody who are not educated. I am not that type of person. Definitely not. I am not that type of person to make fun of anybody who can't spell or anything. But if you're in a particular profession, and that profession is the police service, right? You should at least have a basic level of education, right? So general education, right? And you should in fact be intelligent, right? Anyhow, so back to co-creating your reality. This is a space where we also teach people how to be moral human beings so that they can attract and help to change others who have immoral behaviors, or who engage in immoral behaviors as well, right? So not only are we changing for our own selves and our own benefit, but the purpose of our changing for our own self and benefit is to inspire others to change, and so that is the ripple effect of change, right? I change for my benefit, then I inspire someone else to change for their benefit, and so that's how we produce a generally freer society, that where we can reside, right, peacefully, right? So we also teach how to create more enhanced beneficial relationships, friendships, and so on through right moral conduct, right, through practicing the right things. So one of the other things I had observed about the police officers, right? Remember back then I was in a relationship with my friend who I currently live in, right? Back then it was a little bit shaky relationship at the time, but we were still in a relationship when that police raid happened, right? And one of the things that I noticed, well, the female officer and the other officers as well was really praising my friend, because he was the docile one, he was the quiet one, he was the passive one. When he came and he saw them there, the kind to be like, okay, officer, I understand you were just doing your job, yeah, you feel free to run through my girlfriend panties, and you feel free to turn the house upside down, you feel free to raid our cars, all kind of thing, right? That's okay, I understand you were just doing your job, right? So my friend was that passive, displayed that passive behavior, but I understand that my friend needed to be like that in order to quell the situation, because the situation could have gotten really ugly if I had really demonstrated my real self on that day, which I kind of did, but not my truest self, right? So my friend had to be that way, probably for my own sake, to prevent me from getting arrested and all kind of thing, right? But the officers would have praised him as being the sensible one, the good one, right? The one, the praiseworthy one, because he was being extremely compliant. And I noticed a repeat in the incident recently with my friend who I am dating, who I am helping to transform into a moral human being through his own free will, right? So he is on his path, or on his journey to becoming a moral human being through slowly transforming his life into a vegetarian lifestyle. So as I was saying, and continued with my dating story as well, the police would have approached us both, right? And I noticed the exact same response that the police would have reflected onto him, because he was the money situation. He was not as passive as my previous experience. He actually spoke up about certain things, and was there for me and hugging me and stuff during the whole thing, trying to calm me down too, but whatever, right? But out of us both, he was obviously the more quiet one, right? In terms of standing up for what was right in the moment, right? Yeah. But again, as I was saying, the situation could have turned really ugly if both of us had gotten mad angry at the time, right? So in this situation, I guess it was necessary that someone maintain a sense of level-headedness and coolness, right? But level-headedness and coolness, you can be level-headed and cool and still stand up for yourself, which is what I had done, right? With these police officers, all I like literally stand up, watch them and laugh so that they would feel like absolute fools, right? And they just went on and on and on preaching about their ranking. This is inspector, this he's inspector, this he's superintendent, this, right? Therefore you have the right to come and talk to people and treat people like complete shit because I am inspector, this, right? And this this is an arrestable offense, and they want to take you down to the police station once it's a crap, right? Bullshit, right? So I was actually um a bit more level-headed in this situation than I was in the initial police raid. So I, you know, learned some lessons on how to treat with situation. I think I was still angry as hell. I was still pissed off as hell, right? But I stood my ground as I always did and will always do in instances of these kinds of injustice, right? Um, so yeah, one of the things that I noticed about the police officers is that they actually praise citizens who do not stand up for themselves, right? So they would praise citizens who would be willing to 100% be submissive to them, just like the officers themselves are or have to be 100% submissive to the dark occult or to their bosses, to their supervisors, right? All part of the dark occult and serving the dark occult, right? Serving slavery, right? So the officers, because they are too mentally retarded to stand up to their supervisors, their bosses, when they are instructed to perform immoral acts, because the officers cannot stand up to their supervisors when their supervisors instruct them to perform immoral acts, they expect citizens to lay down at their feet and submit to them in instances of police injustice, right? They expect citizens to lay down at their feet in moments of injustice and to shut up and to comply, right? Now I don't give a shit about police in terms of what they do, whatever, right? But if your job is to protect and serve, why are you creating the violence in the first place? If your job is to protect and serve, why are you participating? Like in that instance, yes, the other day, right, with the vehicle. If their job or their intention was to truly be a protecting force, right? And I was telling my friend this, that if it is that they really wanted to be this fatherly or protective figure, would they not just know it was late at night, right? So I understand that some officers might actually be looking out for people's safety and stuff, right? But if you were genuinely looking out for our safety, would you not approach us kindly and be like, hey, well, I see you all linemen and these days have a lot of murders. You will just be cautious of your surrounding, be careful, and we just passing to give you all a little, a little warning that things happening, a lot crime happening a lot these days, right? That I could completely understand if you behave in that manner, right? But is the bullying, is the abuse of power, is the intimidation tactics, that is the injustice, right? That is the injustice, because nothing is wrong if you all, actually do what you were supposed to do from a spiritual perspective. I'm speaking about too, right? In terms of actually being a protective force or protecting, right? But that's not what your intentions are, and it's sad that when you give somebody a little bit of freaking power, right, the kind of things, when you grant somebody a little bit of human worldly authority, when you grant someone a little bit of worldly authority, human authority, it is sad to see the lengths that they would go, you all would go, in order to abuse that little authority, that little human authority, right? Anyhow, so yeah, this is the topic for today. The role of police officers is based on false authority. Right? So, oh, one more thing I observed in addition to the police officers actually taking a liking to these policemen, taking a liking to passive men, citizens. Policemen taking a liking to passive citizens, passive men in particular, right? Is in two instances the police officers would have like warned these guys who exhibited a measure of passivity to they would have warned them about me, right? Because I stood my ground, because I challenged them, because I challenged their authority, the officers would have warned these guys about, well, a comment in particular the other day was, good luck with that woman, meaning me. Good luck with this relationship. Good luck with this relationship, right? Funny thing is, after seeing how I stood my ground with the superintendent and inspector and police officers and whoever the frick that you all are, right? After seeing how I stood my ground with you all, my date was actually like wanted to arrest me himself and wanted to handcuff me even more. My date wanted to handcuff me even more. Because you all were supposed to arrest me. The police officers were supposed to arrest me based on how I behaved. And you all failed in your duty again. Just like how you all would have failed in your duty a year ago when you came barging my house with the intention of kidnapping me, right? And you all couldn't do it, right? This time you all came to arrest me and you all failed. But that's okay. My date, who you warned against me, sometime in the future, when he turns into a moral human being, he will be arresting me and handcuffing me, which is what you all should be doing to your wives at home. But instead you're choosing to train at the barracks with little boys, choosing to train at the barracks with little boys and do whatever it takes to get a promotion in the service. And the rest is history.